Is the moon a creation of alien intelligence? Scientific paper asks, by Ivan Petricevic, September of 2017, from Ancient Code website. In July of 1970, two Russian scientists, Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov, published an article in the Soviet journal Sputnik called "Is the Moon the Creation of Alien Intelligence?" The theory proposed by the two experts offers arguments that would explain the countless enigmas surrounding the moon and its creation. The moon is one of the most enigmatic objects in our solar system. The moon's existence is perfectly defined by Robin Brett, a scientist from NASA, who stated that it seems easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence. By publishing this article, they raised numerous questions about the moon and its formation, which no other scientist at the time dared to ask. Their article received heavy criticism, but they made their point when writing about the moon and its countless mysteries. The Russian scientific duo proposed the theory that the Earth's moon is not a natural satellite, but a planetoid that was literally hollowed out eons ago in the far reaches of the universe by super advanced intelligent beings possessing a technology far superior to ours even today. Sherbakov and Vasin proposed that the massive machines were used to melt rock and form long cavities within the moon, spreading the molten refuse into a lunar surface. The advanced theory says the moon was preserved by a hole-like inner shell in addition to a reconstructed outer shell of metallic rocky junk. And eventually this enormous craft was steered through the cosmos and then finally put into orbit around our planet. Some say it is a preposterous idea, but the two scientists made a point backed by scientific data. Vasin and Sherbakov state that there are some lunar rocks that have been discovered to contain processed metals such as brass, uranium-236, and neptunium-237. These elements have never been found to occur naturally. However, somehow there are traces of them on the surface of the moon. Uranium-236, for example, is a radioactive nuclear waste which is found in spent nuclear and reprocessed uranium. More interestingly, neptunium-237 is a radioactive metallic element and a known byproduct of nuclear reactors in the production of plutonium. So they want us to believe people are going to go to the moon to fight over nuclear material now to become nuclear superpowers on Earth and the moon. In their article, Vasin and Sherbakov write, abandoning the traditional paths of common sense, we have plunged into what might be at first sight unbridled and irresponsible fantasy. But the more minutely we go into all the knowledge gathered by man about the moon, the more we are convinced that there is not a single fact to rule out our hypothesis. Not only that, but many things so far considered to be lunar enigmas are explainable in the light of this new theory. Interestingly, Dr. Farouk El-Baz was quoted stating, "There are numerous undiscovered caverns believed to exist beneath the surface of the moon. Several experiments have been flown to the moon to see if these caverns were actually real. Interestingly, the results of these experiments have never been made public." Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, while ridiculing the possibility of a hollow moon, admitted that there was a heavier material on the surface, and it was possible that massive caverns exist within the moon. MIT's Sean Solomon added to the mystery of the hollow moon when he wrote, quote, "The lunar orbiter experiments greatly improved our understanding of the moon's gravitational field, presenting the frightening possibility that the moon might be hollow," unquote. As outrageous as this moon theory might first seem, take a second and consider how this unorthodox model reconciles all of the mysteries of the moon. Bearing in consideration the explanation by Vasin and Sherbakov, it would allow us to explain as to why the moon gives evidence of being much older than our planet and perhaps even our solar system. It would also help explain why there are three distinct layers within the moon, with the densest materials being located on the outside layer, exactly as one would expect when looking at the hull of a spacecraft. I do every time I see one. Furthermore, the above could also explain why no sign of water has been found on the surface of the moon, yet we have vast evidence that it exists deep inside it. This revolutionary theory would also explain the mystery behind Maria and mascons, what can be considered as the remnants of the machinery used to drill and create a hollow moon. The theory that our moon is in fact an artificial satellite could explain the weird yet rhythmic moonquakes. Yeah, those wave anomalies we see on the moon, sir, I've seen that. Interestingly, if the moon really is the result of advanced extraterrestrial terraforming, then it would provide us with the solution to the long-debated argument between the hot moon and the cold moon, suggesting experts were both right. This means that our moon was originally a cold planetoid which is artificially transformed into a spacecraft by means of artificial heating. This theory could also help explain the contradictions over the question whether or not the Earth satellite is in fact a hollow moon. If Earth's moon was originally a solid planetoid from which was artificially hollowed out eons ago, we'd probably have found evidence of both phases, which is precisely what we have with our current moon knowledge. Even Isaac Asimov, an American writer and professor of biochemistry at Boston University, he was known for his works of science fiction and popular science and was fascinated by the enigma surrounding the moon. Asimov wrote about the moon and how he believed it may have been captured and put into position. It's simply too large to have been captured by the Earth. The chances of such a capture having been effected and the moon having been taken up to a nearly circular orbit around Earth are too small to make such an eventuality credible. There's a lot more things than that aren't credible. And Asimov is right to consider the moon's orbit. Not only is it nearly perfect circle, but a stationary one, meaning that one side always faces the Earth, with only the slightest variation. As far as we are aware, this is the only natural satellite which possesses such an awkward orbit. Well, folks, whatever the moon is, it is being held in that orbit by some electromagnetic force, and it has a polar state to it because it faces us all the time. Just like magnets will always face the same faces to each other. But has anybody ever really been there? And if they have been there, was it with an Apollo rocket or a Chinese rocket or anybody else's rocket? Or was it maybe a secret space program? Or maybe we have been there, but it's in our anti-grav underground New World Order technologies made in Pine Gap, Australia, or in some underground base. There's a lot more of this picture than what's on the surface, folks. I hope you enjoy this picture of what the moon really looks like on the inside. Thank you for coming to Plain Mundane Show. Please hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. I'm Alex Aquarius. It was a pleasure. I'm out.